So, Michael, I don't know if you're aware, Steve was hosting last year with Adam Wild when the Kawhi trade broke.
Right.
So we
I
think
wasn't
he's
aware.
the X factor of whether or not Kawhi is going to re-sign with the Raptors because Steve is such a good luck charm. We think he is going to be the difference in Kawhi Leonard staying a Raptor.
It's happening.
That's as likely as any other scenario you could lay out
Right.
there. It just is what it is. I mean, it could be the Steve Dangle factor.
Right?
It could be the LeBron James factor.
Mm-hmm.
It could be the Matt Thomas to the Toronto Raptors factor.
Right.
Any of these things are equally possible.
Now, how much do you buy some of these insiders saying, oh, the Lakers are now the favorites for Kawhi? Because I'm in the camp where I don't really believe any of that because the Raptors and Kawhi, their camps are so ironclad. You don't hear any information leaking out. I just, it's hard not to pay attention to it, but I don't really believe it. Is that the best course of action when it comes to anything Kawhi related?
Maybe, because it's interesting that you don't hear much out of the Clippers. So it really seems to be coming from and around the Lakers. And, the one thing that really has struck me in the last few days is the meeting that Kawhi Leonard and his uncle had with Magic Johnson. And that the contents of that meeting got spilled out the next day almost verbatim.
Hmm.
And that really struck me as weird. I thought that was, when you look at the things that Kawhi Leonard's really emphasized in his relationships since coming to Toronto, and when you look at what broke down in San Antonio, it was trust. It was just an understanding that everyone was on the same page, and Kawhi could what he thought, believed in that context, it was around his health and all those kinds of things that they mattered, and it could all remain kind of in house. And when it did it really seemed to fracture that relationship. So I think from the Raptors' point of view, they've been very consistent on that. They've just been very circumspect about any kind of information in any kind of as anything as it relates to Kawhi Leonard. And so far from the Clippers, off the top of my head, I really haven't seen or heard much from them. So I would say the fact that so much seems to be around the Lakers, that's almost a negative.
Because of the dysfunction we've seen with the Lakers lately, do you think that would affect Kawhi's decision at all?
I think so. I mean, because you're really, especially if he's going to California, if he's going to LA, that's probably his career move, right? Like that's the one where he might sign a 2-year deal to get him to his 10 years and extend and all that. But I think the presumption is you're going home. So you want to go to a place where you can be confident the place is going to be run well, that the drama is going to be secondary to the performance. And really, if you look back at the Lakers, almost a decade now, that hasn't been the case. So, I think I would pay attention to that if I was looking for a place to go to work.
See, I just feel like there's questions with those two teams. Are they going to do this? Are they going to do that? With the Raptors, there are no questions. If you're Kawhi Leonard, why not sign the short-term deal to stay, run it back like Serge Ibaka said? He thinks they can win 2 more times, man. I think he's right.
Well, I mean, I think the key there is when you look ahead. I think it's a pretty clear sailing. If he comes back for next season, the team is essentially intact. Maybe there's a couple of adjustments made around the margins. But the couple of issues there are, people say, yeah, he wants to sign. Maybe he'll sign short term because for those who don't understand, in the NBA, once you get to your 10th season, Kawhi's in season 8, has just finished season 8. So once he gets through 2 more seasons and he re-ups at that point, you can re-up for 35% of the salary cap. So let's say the cap's at $120 million, then your first year contract, you're looking at $250 million 5-year deal. So the incentive there is to go 2 years and then re-sign. But with Leonard, he has had some health issues, like he's missed a whole season. We all know about that. And so the attraction maybe about going to LA is there's maybe more confidence signing a long-term deal there. If you come here and the strategy is to sign a short-term deal because you don't see one thing the Raptors can offer is a projection of where they'll be 3-4 years from now. Whereas the Clippers, I think, are pretty well positioned that way. And the Lakers with Anthony Davis, only 26 years old, they're fairly well positioned that way. That would be maybe one issue why, if you're Kawhi Leonard, apart from not being home and all that kind of the winter, why you might look at the LA option.